All right, South Africa's three largest private pathology groups have agreed to a further price reduction of the COVID-19 Rapid Antigen Test. The test will now cost no more than 150 Rand, VAT inclusive. That's down from 350 Rand previously. This is thanks to an agreement reached between the Competition Commission and Pathcare, as well as Lancet and Ampeth. James Hodge, Chief Economist at the Competition Commission, joins us now virtually from Cape Town to tell us more. Thank you very much for your time here on SA Tonight, Mr. Hodge. Now, this is yet another, improvement in terms of pricing for South Africans who need to get these tests done. How did the Competition Commission come to this conclusion with these three pathologists?
Well, about 10 days ago, we announced the reduction in the PCR test. And during that investigation, we had identified that the antigen test is also probably overpriced. And so we immediately received a complaint from a member of the Department of Health and started investigating. And it was a quick investigation because it's a lot simpler test. It's simply a test kit and that can be administered by a nurse. And the result is generated within 15 minutes. So there's not many costs involved. So we quickly came to the conclusion that 150 Rand inclusive of that was probably more cost reflective than the current price. And so we pushed for a settlement on that terms, and the three pathology labs agreed. And so as of tomorrow, it will cost 150 Rand inclusive of that. That's a 40% reduction from where it is currently, but as you indicated, it's almost a 60% reduction from where it was almost a month ago.
And of course, this is good news for, those of us who need to get those rapid tests done, or even the PCR test was very expensive at some point. But now I understand, according to your statement, that you're now pursuing an investigation against Dis-Chem. Tell us more about that.
Well, the pathology labs are not the only ones that administer the rapid antigen test. It is simpler, so it can be done by a retail pharmacy. And Dis-Chem certainly does these tests, but also some of those testing locations that you can get a PCR test also do an antigen. So we are also investigating Dis-Chem, whose current price is 250, so considerably higher than what we think is a fair price. And we hope that they will cooperate with us. Today we haven't had much cooperation, but I'm sure this will change in due course.
Is Dis-Chem the only ones that you're investigating? I believe a pharmacy such as Clicks doesn't really offer these tests, so I assume that Dis-Chem would be the only pharmacies, the only pharmacist that you're investigating for the moment.
Yeah, so there may be other pharmacy chains that are also providing. We have focused on the larger groups initially, but much like the PCR test, we think this is a fair cost-reflective price. And we'd call on all testing stations, even some of those smaller groups, to also apply a 150 price and for consumers to demand that price for antigen tests.
Now, this is a contravention of a certain section in the law, etc. What happens from now on? Do we just lower the price and move on, or is there some sort of repercussions that they will have to deal with, the laboratories, and if Dis-Chem also does come forth, will there be some repercussions against them, or do we just say, okay, the price has gone down, so we move on?
Yeah, so the basis of a settlement is that we end the investigation and we don't pursue penalties. And the advantage really of a settlement is we get a price cut today. We don't wait to litigate this and maybe see a price cut in months' time. So the haste with which we treated this was really because this is a fourth wave, and rapid antigen tests, although they haven't been the staple in the past, are going to be more prominent in testing in the future. So we felt it was important to get the test price down as rapidly as we can. For those that don't wish to settle with us, then we will have to litigate with them, and then they face a prospect of a penalty. And in the case of Dis-Chem, because they already have contravened the Act in terms of price gouging, they could face a fine of up to 25% of turnover.
And of course, this is up to 150 Rand. So somebody could decide, for instance, that I'll actually do the rapid testing for 100 Rand. So the threshold is 150 Rand. Am I correct?
Absolutely, and we expect that over time some of these costs will come down. The sheer volumes and number of pharmaceutical companies that are pushing out these tests mean that the prices have been coming down and maybe should continue to do so. So although the agreement is for 2 years, as you rightly said, it's a price cap, and if the costs go down, then we expect the prices to come down.
Just very quickly, Mr. Hodge, I mean, I have a couple of colleagues and myself who've had to test quite a couple of times. So, for instance, imagine paying 850 Rand, then maybe you find out you are COVID positive, and then after those 10 days of isolation, you must go back and get tested because it must give you a green light that says that you're out of the woods. So you can imagine what those South Africans and the vulnerable are feeling like after, this entire almost, 2 years of 850 Rand. And now, we must just be happy and sing Kumbaya.
Look, I don't expect everyone to be happy with necessarily the outcome. I think bringing the price down is a pragmatic decision we've made. Others may disagree, and others may think we should have litigated this and administered penalties. But I think this at least is a forward-looking approach that means going forward we can hopefully better manage the pandemic and also save consumers. The alternative may be sort of litigation that stretches out for 8 months to a year. And in that time, we're still paying the high prices. And there's uncertainty as to that outcome. So we expect consumers to be angry. We're angry at what has happened as well. But this is a pragmatic decision just to bring immediate relief.